Hi, welcome back. Okay, we're in the torch room. Not the prettiest place in the world, but functional. Okay, what we need to do now, and probably the most difficult thing about this clasp, is lining up these two ends. Now, fortunately, I know I have a nice clean cut on there, as you saw with my saw blade. And what I want to do is I'm going to push this a little past, and then go the other side and push it past. And then put them together. And hopefully with my not having my optimizer on, I hope it's a little wonky. Like I said, this can be the toughest part, is lining up these two pieces, and if they're not lined up, the solder will not flow. And when you're over 40, like I am many years past, you really should be wearing optimizers on something like this, or some kind of magnifying glasses, because I can barely see this. And I don't care who you are, your eyes are going to change. That is really miserable. I'm going to try to fix it again. Sorry, but this is life. Okay. That's not perfect, but I'm just, for the purpose of demonstration, we're going to go ahead with it. If I was doing this on my own, I would have my optimizers on and spend a little extra time. But I don't want to bore you to death. So I'm going to put a little flux on here. I use a little dish like this and then a paintbrush to apply it. And I don't like tons of flux all over everything. It ends up making the solder jump like crazy. Alright, now and for this particular one, you can use any solder since it's the only solder joint. So whatever you have, medium, easy, extra easy, hard, doesn't matter. This bend on here tells me that it's, what is it? It's easy. So I'm going to cut off a little tiny piece. Once again, that finger is back there to keep the solder from flying. And I want a piece that size. I could even go a little smaller if I really want to go teeny. Especially when I work with copper, I really like to use a minimum amount of solder because it's a lot less cleanup. I'll cut it down the middle like that and then cut off a small piece, and you'll see the difference in the sizes. So I'm going to choose that one because I like to use a little bit of solder. I don't like cleaning. House-wise, studio-wise. Picking it up with a wet brush, I don't know if you saw that I dipped the brush back into the flux. And one of the reasons I do that is, number one, to get something to pick this up with, and the second reason is to coat the chip of solder with flux. I'm going to get rid of these because I don't want to accidentally melt them. It wouldn't be a big deal. I just could get it on the piece, and I don't want to do that. The other one that we're going to work on over here is the one that we hammered earlier, and I need to anneal this. That's why it's separate from here. I'm not going to be working on them at the same time because I'm not that talented. Sure, someone can do it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is heat this up rather slowly because I don't want that solder to bounce off. Like I said, I don't have a ton of flux on there, so it shouldn't be too bad. So you can see it gets glassy. That white coating on there is when the flux turns to glass and the solder won't be jumping at this point. So I'm trying to heat both sides. Yeah, I have a feeling this wouldn't work. See how this is a great example of why solder won't jump. Can you see that in there? How the solder's on one side of the cut and not on the other? Sometimes I can push it, but I'm starting to melt the silver at this point. So I'm going to have to pickle that and retry that again with my optimizers on. Right now we're going to just anneal this. And generally you should turn off most of your lights to anneal. Let's see if I can do that. And film. Oh, wrong button. Might make it a little easier. What you're looking for is a light pink or a slight graying of the metal. That looks pretty good to me. It's something you get used to. It's a lot easier if you're just learning how to anneal if you turn off all the lights, because you can really see that light pink color. And at this point I'm going to quench it. I'm not going to come back in here and solder this because we don't have the time. So just pretend it worked, okay? And I'll pull out a nice finished piece. I'm going to quench it now before I put it in the pickle. Because if I put it in the pickle, when it's hot, the pickle is going to, which is an acid, is going to spray all over the place and ruin my clothes, my vision, or my skin. So that's in the pickle, and we'll meet you back in the tool room in 2 seconds.